Welcome to CSC 230. This is EX5 CSS Dentist, and I'm going to give you a little overview for spring 2017. You're actually going to be watching some videos that are a little bit older, and I don't always have the time to re-record new videos, and since we're going to be doing a lot of the same operations, I'll just be using some older videos, but I did want to give you an introduction here just in case you hear some references to previous semesters or you hear older music or something just doesn't seem like we're doing this semester. Just be aware that there may be some minor differences that you'll encounter. Now the first thing you'll do is click on coursework and you'll scroll down to Unit 7. It'll be EX5 CSS Dentist. And you come to this page, you'll see instructions here, but these are also the same instructions that are on the instructions that I posted. They should be. And the only thing that you're going to, other than looking at these instructions, the only thing you will need to do on this page is download this, or you can even click on it. What this is, if I just click on it and it opens up in a new window, this is just a JPEG image of the finished sample. And I even have it marked with the HTML sections, body, HTML, so that that's kind of identified by the HTML that you see when you open the HTML file. So you kind of know visually what some of those sections are, other than just looking at the HTML code, because you may not be familiar with viewing HTML code. But this is the finished sample, so you could print this out, you could open it up in Acrobat Reader or any program that you would view this. So this is just a reference for you, so you might want to print this out and keep it with you as you work on the file in your HTML and as you work on your CSS file. Now you're mainly going to be working on the CSS. You're mainly going to be taking your file and making it look like this from the original HTML that you'll look at. Here's an actual live example. This is from last spring. This is a student from last spring, 2015, and this is a finished version. And you could see this version here, it's centered to a point. It's still a fixed size, so it might be something like 840 or something like that. But this is going to be the real finished product, but I do have a JPEG for you to look at as well, and it's a little smaller. The JPEG you see is a little smaller depending on how you view it, but at least it's there to identify the parts of it. So that's the only thing that you have to download from your coursework. Okay, you'll also have under document resources, let me show you a couple things here. It's not here yet, but I'll have the notes here for EX5 CSS Dentist Instruct will be the last one in the list here for notes. So those printed notes will be there once I upload them, probably in a few minutes. So they will be here. You'll have notes here for EX5 CSS Dentist. So that's all you really have to do in e-learning. You'll have notes that you could print out, you'll have the link to the videos, and you also have that JPEG that you can download too. You can also download it. I didn't download it, but you could right click on it when you see the link and download it and print it out. So you'll have that as well. Now what you're going to be doing, just to give you the beginning steps as well, is you're going to be launching Cyberduck to start. So I'm going to go launch Cyberduck. And there's my Cyberduck. And I do make if you see all these bookmarks here, I make bookmarks for yours too, so that when you say you're having a problem in Cyberduck or whatever, I could double click, see your directory, and see if everything's there and check things out, just like you would. So if you're having a problem uploading things or you don't think it's there, I can look at it and say, hey, there's a problem with this file name or whatever it may be. And I try to create one for myself so I can kind of go through the process and not use your folder. So this is me sample. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to double click. Now it's connected right now. I'll just disconnect it and go back. But you're going to connect on you. So if you're one of these people, you'll double click on yours and you'll probably only see that one there. So I'll double click on me. And what you'll see, you should see your web server directory. Now you should see your index. That's the one with that points to the picture of you, and it has a couple links on it so far. It has the EX3 link and the EX4 link, hopefully. And it just has that like kind of red header at the top that I created. It has a little thumbnail view, which should be in your images folder. And the CSS is actually what makes it look the way it looks when you see your home page. So that's the one that puts it kind of in the little box with the header and your pictures over to the right. So these are the files that you're not going to change, at least right now. You'll eventually want to change that index because you're going to put another link on it to EX5. But what you're going to see in here, hopefully you're done with EX4. Hopefully you have your index, your images, and your EX4 CSS, and you're done with that. That's what you should have in there. And if you did the CSS, you'll have a CSS file. Also note that you can have multiple index.html files as long as they're in separate folders. you can just link to ex4 and it'll know to go to the index.html file. So you don't even have to put that in the link typically. So I'll close that up. And I'm assuming you have that done or you wouldn't be watching this video. And then what you're going to have here is the ex5. I'll just show you what's in it. There'll be an images folder. There's 2 images in here, 2 dentist pictures. There's a header for the dentist practice and there's a picture of the dentist themselves. So that's in there already. That's in the IMG folder. And there's an index file that has most of the HTML completed already. Okay, so you're going to download, so you could work on it locally, this ex5 file, and it will already be in your directory. So you're not going to, and don't double click on anything here. Just go to, like on a Mac, I'm clicking on a Finder window, or if you're in Windows, just open a window from your Explorer and find your main directory. Here's my CSE230W1. Here's my notes folder. Here's my upload sample. This would be your last name. And you know, here it should mimic exactly what's here other than what's new. So the ex5 is new. I don't have it here. So I'm going to copy this from my web server over to my local computer. So that's all I'm doing, and it should be as easy as just grabbing the ex5 folder and copying it there. And there isn't a lot of stuff in it, so it shouldn't take long. So I'll close that up. So in my directory here, there's my images, and here's my index file. Now, right now it has like a Safari icon. You know, if you double click on that, who knows where it'll open. It might open in a browser, it might open somewhere else. And also, you don't want to just open in brackets yet. This is what I want you to do once you have it downloaded. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go into brackets, and I have something else showing here now, and you're going to go File, Open Folder. And the reason we do File, Open Folder and not just Open is we want to open up your folder so you're only seeing the stuff in the folder. Now I'm going to go to my CSE230W1, and even if you go to your upload sample, you could select the whole upload sample folder, and you might want to do that later when you update your index page, but just for now you can actually just choose that one. That way you'll kind of isolate. You'll just see the ex5 stuff. You'll just see your image. There's your Wiesner pick or Wiesner. There's the header pick that you're going to use, and here's the HTML. Now, also, it clicks on it and it shows you the HTML, but if you want it open, usually what I'll do is I'll double click on it, then it'll say working files up here. That way it gives you a place to kind of close it, because if you don't do that, it's hard to tell, is it open, is it not open? So now what we're going to do in the head element of our index page is we're going to make a link to our CSS file. But first we need to make the CSS file. In this folder, you're also going to go File, New, and you're going to make a file. You don't even have to put anything in it yet. You could put a comment here. You could asterisk. You could just put CSS file. You don't have to put that, but you could put CSS file, and then you could just do File, Save As, and make sure it gets saved in the right folder. Make sure it gets saved in your ex5 folder. It's just going to be called ex5.css. You do have to put the .css, or in Windows I think it should do that for you, although I'm not sure. So I would just put in the .css, because you typically with brackets it needs to know what kind of file it is. So I would say in Windows put the .css in there if it's not putting it. If you have any issue, I don't know, let me know, but I'm pretty sure you got to put that in yourself, because brackets will not know what kind of file it is without that extension. So I'm going to save that in ex5, and it should go in there with that. So that's where you're going to do most of your work. Most of your work is going to be here in your ex5 folder and on your ex5.css file. Now the name you call your CSS file doesn't matter that much. This has to be indexed, and that's why there's an index in here. Now in your index.html file in your ex5 folder, we're going to have to make a link to your CSS file so it knows where it is. It needs to point to it. So we're going to need to go inside your head element between the opening and closing head tags, and you could put it right after the title tag. And that's where we're going to put our link to our external CSS file. And we could start it off by going link rel equals, and you're going to look for style sheet. The rel actually stands for relationship. It means it's required that there's a relationship to a style sheet as far as your HTML page. And then you're going to put type, and when you click on type you'll see text/CSS. That will tell it the type of file. And then finally you're going to put your href or your ref, and that's actually going to link to your CSS file. So inside quotes you're going to look for ex5.css. As long as it's in the same folder, it would just say ex5.css. So that's the link to your external style sheet file. Notice that link element is self-closing. It doesn't need a closing tag on it. So once you close it up, you're done, and you can start working on your CSS. And this is where you're going to have all your CSS that's going to be used to make it look like that finished product. So when you're done, it should look like this. And remember, when you're done in brackets, you could close up a file, close it up here. So that's my ex5 folder. These are my files that are going to be in it: ex5.css, index.html. When you're done with everything, your HTML, your CSS, you're going to go back to Cyberduck, and then you'll open up a Finder window or any kind of files window. Position your window on top of the Cyberduck window, and then you could drag your ex5 folder into your directory in Cyberduck. And if there's an ex5 folder already there, it'll ask you if you want to overwrite, and I'll hit continue because I do want it to overwrite. Now obviously mine's not finished yet, but that is the process that you'll go through once you're finished. So let's get started.